I will be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all of the difference. Buckle up and get ready to ride the strange train. We're about to journey down the road less traveled. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the road less traveled. I am your humble host, Mr. Dennis Carroll, and I welcome you aboard for episode 24 of Strange Graves. And here's my excellent co host, the one and only Gerald Fountain.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing good.
That's great. We got an interesting show planned for everybody tonight, and it's going to be a strange one there. I want to say hello to some of the people gathering. Wizard Moon and Chicky Blue and Aussie Sue. That rhymes. How'd you like that? Okay. And we got the girl and her gong, Gus's mom. Mr. John Fortman Coco is in the house. Train's going off the rails after the crazy train. Well, you never know which train you're on there, Coco. You never know. You might buy the ticket, but you never know where the destination's going to end up at, okay? That's absolutely. But you bought a ticket for the road less traveled tonight, and we've got some interesting times ahead of us. I'll say hello to Midwest Night Watchers, okay, and Jessica. Hello, Jessica. Good to have you here, little Kilroy. Hello, little Kilroy. All right. It's starting to accumulate here in the old grotto. What do you think about that, Gerald?
Yeah, we're getting quite a crowd going on here. So I hope everybody got to see your show of Jessica on Jessica's channel, The Cryptid Hunters, today. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah. That was a fantastic show today with Jessica and on her podcast, A Glitch in the Matrix. And if you didn't catch it, please go watch it on the rebound. You can get it in my library or on her channel as well. So check it out. It was an excellent discussion, absolutely. And she also has a store, War Woman Goods. That's where you can shop for my Christmas gift, okay? And War Woman Goods is great. It's an excellent store. It's got lots of bling and a lot of glitter stuff on it. So check it out. And Gerald, I think you have a store. Is that correct?
Yeah, we started up a new merchandise store. It's at Printful, so it's Midwest Night Watchers .printful.me. So you can find all kinds of stuff of our swag and t-shirts and long sleeve shirts and hats and cups and hoodies.
All right, we'll put the link up in a minute here for it. And let everybody go shopping. Hello, Crystal. Good to have you here. Head Trip. Hello. And waiting to get a link on your store here in a minute. But it's running kind of slow tonight, like me. It's kind of getting old and slow and creaky here. Okay, there we go. There's Midwest Night Watcher store there for your needed apparel. Okay, all right, and you can shop there for my Christmas gift as well. Okay, don't forget that, and check him out. Okay, absolutely, and check out Midwest Night Watchers, Piercing the Veil, and Night Owl Lounge, and the interesting things that Shiro has got going on with Shiro Sounds. Check that out. Absolutely. I think she's got a hand pan now on there.
Yeah, she got a brand new hand pan that came from Italy, and it got shipped here from a friend of hers or ours, and she's been playing it, and she made a few new videos with it. Sounds really good.
Italiano pan, huh? Okay. The Italians are very good at making stuff like that sometimes. Absolutely. I read somewhere that they make some of the best bells in the world.
Oh, yeah. I was surprised.
Mm-hmm. That's actually, yeah. And let's see if I could show that again. There we go. All right. Thank you, dear. Thank you for that one. And yeah, we're gonna have some. You know, you remember me telling you about me meeting Nicolas Cage? You know,
Right.
and actually, I'm gonna show you where his what his grave looks like. He's not dead yet. He's not in it yet, but he has it waiting for him. I'm gonna show that to you tonight. So stick around for it, okay? Because it's very interesting. A lot of people have their graves waiting for them. I know that sounds bad, but that is smart, really, because you lock in the price because everything's going up. Even dying is getting expensive. Okay, and it is one of the most expensive expenditures you will ever make, or your family will make. Put it that way. I was telling Gerald before the show there, you can go on Amazon and buy your casket. So Jessica, you might want to go ahead and lock that in there, dear.
Yeah.
Just safe side. And Crystal, you need to start,
you could probably
plan.
You could probably buy one for your parlor. It stands up in the corner and has probably a glass that you could see right into it, and so that way your family can still talk to you and see you.
Well, I would put one in my room, stack that thing up on the end, and make a bookcase out of it. Yeah, there you go. Just tell them, hey, when I kick the bucket, you can put me in the bookcase. All right, put me in that.
So when I was a kid, somebody passed away, an elder, a senior, and my parents was notified. So we went over there because it's a friend of the family, and they lived in one of the old Victorian homes, and they passed away in their bed upstairs. Well, they took the casket upstairs to their room, and they placed her in it, and then it had to be carried down the stairs, which had a curve in it. And then it had the little alcove place where they usually put statues of Mother Mary or a telephone or whatever, so they could put the corner of the casket in there and maneuver down the stairs going the other way.
Crystal says it helps your loved ones. Yeah, it does, really. It does, it does help them out at a very strenuous time, something like that, Absolutely. And here's the thing about it, is an old saying, we laugh at death because it makes us, feel immortal. But don't ever forget that death is also laughing with you. Okay? That's just the way that goes. Yep. But anyway, hello there, Joshua. Good to have you aboard. And the Victorian house was with curved stairs, go up to the third floor. Oh yeah. Good evening there, Red Pill. I'm reading the lines out here, folks. Okay, it's moving very fast tonight. But anyway, that is there is the big business in dying, absolutely big business. Here's the thing about it: you never hear of too many funeral homes and places like that going out of business, and if it does, it's because of poor business aptitude and not the clientele. Okay, that's the way that goes.
Yep. Usually when they're ready to retire, and they stay in a long time. I mean, I've seen funeral home directors that are like 80 years old, but they usually pass it on to family. And if nobody's interested, then there's usually somebody else fresh out of the school to take over their business for them.
You got a question there.
Oh, when am I going to do a show with all of our cool guitars? Yeah, we need to do our musical instruments. I mean, Jane has a whole room full, and I have 3 or 4 electric guitars and amps and stuff, and she has keyboards and everything. So we might have to do at least a walkthrough and maybe a little strum or a play on some of them, and that might have to come up over Christmas. Maybe we'll do that over Christmas.
That would make a good show, definitely. And that would be a big hit on YouTube. You need to think about putting that on YouTube, and show off some of those guitars and maybe play them a little bit, let people hear how they sound. Talk about the history of them. That would be interesting, you know.
I got 2 of them that are personally mine that have a really good history to them.
Mm-hmm. That would be good. It'd make a good little video, definitely. We recently had a second generation funeral home in our city. Listen, I'm moving away from trying to read it. I lost it here. Hold on a minute. I got it up on screen. So we recently had a second generation funeral home in our city get closed down for giving people the wrong ashes. Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Oh yeah.
Some of them are very poorly run. Absolutely. The best funeral homes usually are the ones run by families. You know, like it's been an old family business for a long time. Those are usually the best. I think, and I was telling Jero about a movie. If you really got, you know, the guts to check it out, you might want to watch The Autopsy of Jane Doe. That is one of the wildest horror movies I've ever seen. And what happens when they go, I think it was the name of it, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. I think that was the name of it. I have to make sure. But anyway, if any of you out there may have seen it, you can correct me on that if I'm wrong. But it was a wild movie. I mean, all these weird things start happening because this woman who's evidently been affected by witchcraft of some sort is brought in for an autopsy one night. Oh, it's wild. You need to check this movie out. Great movie. And another one is Afterlife with Christina Ricci and what's his name? Liam Neeson. I like him. He's a great actor, by the way. Liam Neeson is fantastic. He is very much like the old Hollywood actors used to be. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's great. He does it. Have you ever seen the movie he did Into the Gray, Gerald?
No, I have
There's
not.
a plane crash, and he and some of these guys have to survive against a pack of very hungry wolves, gray wolves. It is a great movie, buddy.
I remember that, but I don't think I ever watched it.
I love survival movies. That's what I love. They're great to watch. Yeah.
You know, speaking of funeral homes not doing what they're supposed to, in Illinois, Southern Illinois, there was an old funeral home where they had a crematorium. They would cremate bodies right there at their mortuary. But the only thing is, the family or the old guy, the hierarchy of the family, he was throwing the bodies out in the woods behind the mortuary. He wasn't even cremating them. Yeah, or not all of them anyway. So by the time they found out, they had all these decaying, decomposed bodies, and they had to try to identify them with forensics.
They had them stacked up like cordwood out there. That's bad. I think same thing, basically about like that happened in Georgia with a funeral home in Georgia where they found some of them like in a shed. Some of the bodies were kept in a shed, and they were stacked up in there. What it is after you do a embalming of them, and you usually do not embalm the bodies that you cremate. You don't usually do that. But bodies embalmed like they would last a lot longer. But it had to be pretty rancid with ones that were ready for a crematorium because you do not embalm people for that. Matter of fact, they put you in a cardboard casket for that and feed you to the fire. And you don't actually burn up, even as in that. There's always bone left, and they have to take the bone hammers. I don't know if you ever heard of the bone hammers.
Oh, yeah.
The bone hammers are made specifically to crush bones. And that's what they have to do to make the ashes. It's not an easy job. Matter of fact, I have my casket key here, by the way. That is actually a real casket key. And I kept that from my time when I was in the morgue. There used to be several of these laying around. I picked one up one day. I said, well, heck, I might need it for something else one day.
I don't think it works from the inside, though.
they're kind of hard to come by. Yeah, definitely. But why? I had a lot of people say, "Why would you lock a casket?" But I'll tell you why. In some states, that is required by law that you do that. And I think most mortuaries do that now. They just lock
Right.
it. I mean, it's just part of the end when they finally put the lock on you. That's it. There'll be no more viewing, no putting anything in the casket or anything. Closed casket ceremony, whatever the situation is, you're locked in there. And it is in one fact, and you do have a problem. We're going to show that in a minute with grave robbers. Okay, that is a problem. And the thing is, it's still prevalent. It's just not talked about that much. Okay, but let me say this: there are certain people that you can contact, and if you want the bones of someone and you're willing to pay enough for it, they'll get them for you. Okay. And I'm talking about famous people, like if you wanted Earl Flynn's skull or something like that. I mean, if you're a big fan of it or whatever the situation is, you can hire people that will get that for you. That's their job.
Right.
That's the kind of quiet jobs that they do. They are still grave robbers because there's still money in it, folks. Okay. There's still money in there, definitely. And I have actually, now listen to this. I have actually seen real footage of people doing that, breaking into tombs and stealing bones. They actually put it on film.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago in European and American history in the early 1900s that they were bringing mummies from Egypt over to show in their parlors and have their friends over for, dinner and drinks and, view these mummies. That was like a big parlor. It gave them stature.
Back in Victoria, England, it was a in thing to do is to have your own mummy. By the way, have the sarcophagus in your living room with a mummy in it. That was a big thing. And of course, back years ago in medieval times, they would ground up parts of the mummies and put them in your medicine. Yeah, you're drinking mummy there. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that long ago that in a haunted house they had the spook show at the carnival or whatever, and you'd go through, and they had a skeleton hanging in the corner, it was supposed to scare you. And some girl got disoriented and scared so bad that she actually fell into it and it broke or fell down. And as they investigated it, because she got hurt and had to haul her out in an ambulance, it was a real skeleton of a human being. It wasn't a fake.
Wow. But you had people to do that thing, they do things like that. Now, I'm going to show you some pictures here. We're starting off with this one right here, actually. I think Gerald knows about this one. What's under that rock, Gerald?
There is supposed a witch underneath that rock, and she was deemed to be a witch and went through the trials. And after they put her through their trial and found her to be a witch, they killed her. And I don't know if they burned her or whatever they did with her, but they put that big giant boulder on there so she could not get up out of her grave and fly away.
That's Scotland, right? That's Scotland?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing that. And it's supposed to be bad luck to sit or stand on that stone. Bad things are supposed to happen to you. But they do that a lot with the witches. They put them under. You know why, don't you? So they won't come back.
Oh.
Yeah. The more you put over them, the harder it is for them to come back. They believe that very much so. That they believe that would keep them, and they would on the graves of a lot of witches, so-called female witches, that you would find an inscription on it, and this is what it says: "God grant that she lie still." Make sure you don't come back. and bother anybody. That's the way they felt about it, especially in Victorian times and medieval times. And then you have things like this right here.
Yes.
Vampires, yeah. And one of them's got a stake through the mouth, and one's got a brick in the mouth there, I think. That's the way they would bury you to keep you from coming back, bothering you, biting anybody. And of course, here's a close up of it.
Yeah, be hard to bite somebody with a big giant chunk of rock in your mouth.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's sort of just like saying, hey, you know, if your spirit tries to come back, you're not going to be able to do anything because your body is fixed that way. See? So there's a connection to the body and the spirit thing going on. But they believe without doubt, and I do too, matter of fact, that some of these things are mostly spiritual or demons or whatever thing we talked about on Jessica's show today. These things are very spiritual in that respect. And that's the way these people felt about it. They felt if your body was fixed that way, your spirit would be that way. See what I'm saying?
Yep. Weren't they ever found any fangs on any of them?
Well, here's the thing about the fangs, okay? They think that the fangs were retroactive to being bitten. In other words, you wouldn't show fangs until the moment you got ready to bite somebody. It's sort of a supernatural thing, you know. And the fangs came in two different ways. They could be more like the eye teeth, you know, or they could be more like a rat's teeth, like buck teeth in the front, you know, kind of deal, like Nosferatu in the movie.
Yeah,
it's sort of a rat or bat looking thing. They believe that those fangs would not come out until the moment you got ready to bite somebody. So that was not the dead giveaway. You know, if you're walking around as a vampire, you're usually not showing your fangs. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's a guy on TikTok that supposedly says he's a vampire and he can make his fangs come out. And supposedly he showed that on a video, but didn't put it online.
I've seen that. I think that's a prosthetic that he's got. You can buy teeth that will do that, by the way. They're remote controlled that they will do that kind of thing. That's Hollywood props.
Then it makes me wonder if you do have the fangs when they kill them, whether with a stake or however they, you know, decapitate them, whatever. Maybe they turn back into human, they lose their fangs and they're not there anymore for somebody to find.
Well, you got to remember this, the thing about the vampire girl, most of the time, there's so many different type of vampires, okay? But most of the time, vampires, thinking about the Hollywood more like vampires, they are demonically reanimated dead bodies. Okay? If you were to come back like that, you would not be Gerald Fountain. Okay? You would be an evil spirit with Gerald Fountain's body. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way you got to look at it. But a lot of people believe that some of these people who died were so mean and evil, and that's one of the precepts of you coming back as a vampire. If you die as a very malevolent, mean, and evil person, most of the time, I had a case like that. Okay, well that happened. They say you may come back like that. You know, you're so evil that like that tombstone, you can't lie still. You come back. You don't rest. You're a sort of a cancer or canker sore on the lip of humanity. You're out to do bad things. That's the way they look at it. But now that's a person coming back as a vampire and not a vampire spirit. Vampire spirits, and I have run into vampire spirits, can possess things. They can possess animals. They can possess people. They can influence things because they are basically demonic spirits. But they are spirits that feed off of things. They either feed off of your blood or your energy or your life essence of your soul, something like that. But they're always feeding. They're parasites.
Right.
Parasitic demons. That's what they are. And they will drain you completely. But that's where you get into necromancy. Now, that's another interesting aspect of that. Necromancy is dealing with the dead. You know, having sorcery and magic and stuff going on with the dead, where you get the dead to talk to you and stuff like that. You know, the Bible clearly says the dead know nothing. What the Bible says, the dead know nothing. But you can supposedly, with necromancy, get them to talk to you, communicate with them. Let me tell you this, folks, right quick, and I'm not going to get into that tonight because it's a different subject altogether. But necromancy is communication with the dead. And that's never, ever, ever a good idea. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's never, never a good idea, no matter which way you come at it, whether it's Ouija boards, seances. And I have performed seances in the past. I'm going to talk about that one night. Some of the weird things that happened to me during, I used to fool around with that stuff. I got smart. Okay. Don't mess with that. Do not do what I did. Don't get into that, because if you go too far into the darkness, you won't come back. Well, it's not a good idea to mess with the dead like that. But now, these guys didn't hesitate to mess with your body. Take a look at that. Now, that's that iron bar is going over the mouth, through the jaws there, to hold you down. I thought I had another picture of that, but no. But anyway.
Yeah, I think there's a. I think there's a farther away picture. There it is.
Yeah, that's the way they found the grave now.
Yeah, these were the ones they found in Romania. They dug them up in Transylvania, and they came to the conclusion that they were suspected to be vampires. And they said in the article that those were actually blades. So if they tried to get up out of their graves, it would decapitate them.
That's the archaeological board at the top of it there telling you about it. That is fascinating. I would love to have been there to see them moving that up. That is something else. That is wild to think you would go through that much trouble. But iron, don't forget. You know, we talked about that before, Gerald. Iron is supposed to be just as darn good, almost as silver. Okay. Iron is bad news on fairies and evil witches and vampires and all that. They don't like iron either.
Right.
That's what that is. That's an iron bar going through them. But now, part of the vampire lore is the stake. Okay, the stake is a temporary thing. The stake was just meant to hold it down. That's all. It doesn't destroy it. It just immobilizes it. You got to, decapitate it and burn it afterwards. But here's the thing about it. Even a certain stake had to be used. Either it could be an iron stake, or it could be a stake of mountain ash, or a stake of what's the name of that? There's another. I can't think of the name of that tree. Anyway, it had to be something like that along those lines. Certain type of wood, because certain types of wood are thought to be have magical properties to them.
Right.
But that's the interesting thing about it.
They would also drive a stake in the ground and put a chain in around their ankles, or pins through their bones to the ground, so they couldn't get up that way too and leave their grave.
Yep. Now, it is an erroneous thing about the iron bars that go over, or iron cages that go over graves. They're not there to hold vampires in. Okay, we Gerald and I talked about that before. They're not there for that. They're to keep you out, to keep out body snatchers. That's what those are for. They just happen to be made out of iron because iron lasts longer. You wouldn't make it out of aluminum or something. They didn't have that anyway back in the day that much.
But now the folklore, though, is that it's to keep vampires from getting out. That one's more decorative and stuff. But the ones that you just showed, the people in the folklore say that those were to keep vampires in the grave, and we all know it's not true. But that's what they say. Still, they still say that.
Yeah. I mean, it would help with the vampire thing, I guess, but that's not what its aim was. Its goal is to keep out body snatchers. That was what it was mainly made for. But that is still fascinating stuff. Take a look at that one. That one's got a slab on top of it. That is it. That is really to make it harder, sort of burglar proof kind of thing.
Yeah.
Keep it out. Look, you would not. You would pass that over. That's too much trouble getting that grave. You know what I'm saying?
You'd have to have vampire strength to get that off.
Yeah. Yep. But now that's why you see a lot of slabs in cemeteries. That's just a safeguard. You know, we talked about that before, Joe. The plot to steal Abraham Lincoln's body. Remember that?
Yep.
Abraham Lincoln now lies under 16 feet of concrete. You ain't getting his body.
And they did that a lot. They there's a lot of famous people that were concreted in, or they had their memorial or their crypt, but their body actually wasn't there, but they secretly buried them somewhere else where they couldn't find it.
Oh yeah. There was, there's been a lot of plots over the years to steal famous people's bodies. I think that they actually tried to steal William Shakespeare's body or bones. I see. He has a curse on his grave, by the way. Cursed be ye who disturbs these bones. He has a curse on it, but that didn't stop him. They were going to try to steal it anyway. That was the plot. Yeah, I think there's several people I cannot think of them offhand that actually their skulls are no longer in the grave. I think Geronimo is one of them, supposedly. People took the skull and bones thing, supposedly stole Geronimo's skull and they used it in their rituals. Wild stuff, but it goes on. It goes on. It happens.
Yeah, I mean, it goes all the way back to John the Baptist. Supposedly, they have his skull in one of the secret societies.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, that was supposed to be the Knights Templar. Supposedly found the skull of John the Baptist and venerated it. Supposedly, which is there's a big business interest and industry in the bones of saints. You got a lot of those in churches and all that. And I think, like some of the bones of the original Saint Nicholas, yes, he was Santa Claus. Okay, and some of his bones ended up in 2 or 3 different places after he died. And the Basilica of Saint Nicholas, I think, is one area that's got his hand, I think, or something like that. So they venerate the bones of saints a whole lot. Big business. And let's see what this is here.
Well, I may be wrong, but I think they don't even know where JFK's brain is.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to be in a glass jar. Well, that's alluded to in that movie, Bubba Hotep, where he thinks he's JFK, and he says, "I'm thinking with a bag of sand here." He doesn't have his brain anymore. Supposed to be hooked up in a jar in Washington somewhere. That isn't old. I don't know if that's true or not. They might. Well, here's the thing.
I heard it's true. I heard it disappeared at the autopsy, and one of the doctors kept it.
Anyway, they will save body parts from autopsy. So yeah. Supposedly they saved Lee Harvey Oswald's brain or something like that. But they buried his body in a lead casket somewhere in the Potomac, didn't they? Something like that. So nobody could ever get to it. Or no, I'm thinking about John Wilkes Booth. I'm sorry, John Wilkes Booth. They buried his body in the Potomac in a lead casket, so nobody could ever find him or something like that. They actually dug Oswald back up and did an autopsy on him. Remember that?
Yep.
They proved without doubt it was Oswald in that grave. In other words, that's some wild stuff. But now, yeah, they do say body parts from autopsies because sometimes, especially if it's a historical person,
right?
Sometimes they'll keep them back, and you can kind of like for some kind of macabre type souvenirs. But now we go to Mr. Nicolas Cage's final resting place whenever he gets there. And here it is, folks. It's a pyramid, okay? And it's in a cemetery, St. Louis Cemetery in New Orleans. I think he's also a neighbor to Marie Laveau, okay? That's it right there. And there's an inscription on it. I cannot repeat the Latin, but the Latin on it stands for one, many from one. That's what it says. Why he says that on there, I don't know, but that's what he's got on his tomb. Many from one. Or maybe that is alludes to him being an actor, I guess. But that is his final resting place of Mr. Nicolas Cage.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. I wonder why he chose a pyramid.
That, Gerald?
I was curious why he chose a pyramid.
Sure like some New Orleans, yeah. He bought a house in New Orleans. I think he's owned several houses, places in New Orleans. He really is. He's kind of a lot of strange things in New Orleans anyway. So I can see where Nick's coming from on that. Okay. But according to some, he's supposed to be a vampire. Would that not be the excellent grave for a vampire there? What do you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
New World Order kind of a thing, too. Yeah, it does smack of that. It looks a lot like, or reminds you of the pyramid on the back of the dollar bill, doesn't it?
Yeah, you just need an all-seeing eye on top of it.
Yep. Well, now I have here, Earl, one of the strangest graves of all, and it has a mystery to it. Nobody has ever figured out what this is, okay? But here it is. And I'll have to read it for you. This is Lily E. Gray is her name. And down at the very bottom, I tried to get this closer up shot of it, but it didn't come out that way. Down at the very bottom, it says, Victim of the Beast, 666. And nobody can figure out why it says that. Victim of the Beast, 666.
Wow.
That is weird.
Yeah, it is.
And it has a mystery. Nobody can figure out exactly why it said that. It's kind of a big mystery.
The Beast. That's strange, isn't it?
Yep. Well, there you go. That is an odd one right there. Let's go back to the comments and see what everybody's got to say about that. Let's see. That's Aleister Crowley maybe did something too. We're talking about Aleister Crowley now.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. What we got going here? So has anybody figured out what that Victim of the Beast 666 means yet? Yeah, it may have something to do with the New World Order. I don't know. That might have a connection to that. The Beast 666. It may have something to do with Aleister Crowley. I don't know. I don't know if she was a disciple of Aleister Crowley or what. It's very strange. Nobody knows to this day exactly what that woman meant, but she was supposed to have been just a regular, I think, like a housewife or just a regular woman. She was not supposed to be a witch or involved in anything like that. Why she would have that on her tombstone?
From what I read, or if I remember right, she died and her husband had that inscribed on her tombstone. Then he passed away shortly after that without ever saying what it meant.
He could have done that. He could have been a disciple himself. You never know. But you don't have any control over what they put on your tombstone when you're dead. You got no say so about it. So there you go. That's the bad part about it. But it's still a mystery. I mean, nobody understands why it's there. But I think there have been several people who have investigated it and found and could not find out why it was there. So there you go. The victim of the beast in 666.
Yeah.
That sounds like Aleister Crowley.
Wow.
Aleister Crowley identified himself as the Beast 666. But there will be an original Beast 666. That's the Antichrist. That's what she may be talking about. It may have something to do with the New World Order thing, too. What's the thing they had with that Aleister Crowley back in those days? Lots of musicians around that one. The dates do match up when Crowley was alive. Yeah.
Never know. We'll never know.
Yep. But it is a very strange one. Like I say, it is still an ongoing mystery nobody's ever truly solved. The only one that could solve it for us is the one lying there, unfortunately. And she ain't talking. Okay, that's the way that goes. Well, Oscar Crowley was a bad dude, whichever way you look at it, because he was trying to actually, I talked about this before. He was into sexual magic, He thought that there was a power in sex. No matter whether you had it with a man or a woman, it didn't matter, or a dog or what, it didn't matter to him. He was trying to tap into that power. He didn't care how he did it. And he was in league supposedly with some demonic forces. He would put curses on people, death curses on people. So he was not a happy guy. Okay, he was not a nice guy, whichever way you look at it. But he was trying to tap that power to do the Babylon working, and the Babylon working was actually bringing the false prophet mentioned in the Bible back into our world, bring him into the world so that he could trigger the Antichrist or something like that. That's what some of his goal was. The thing about Aleister Crowley, he would switch from one thing to another all the time. He was never stuck on just one thing. So he was trying out different types of magic. Even one time, I think, if I remember correctly, he cursed a man and tried to curse him to death. I put supposedly sick in the demon on him.
Wow.
And Jack Parsons' Brown Dwarf. Jack Parsons was a disciple of Aleister Crowley, who was a rocket scientist. And he was the one that founded the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, by the way. Brilliant guy in one way, but really warped and screwed up in another way. That's just the way it goes with genius. There's a fine line between genius and madness.
Yeah.
And Jack Parsons crossed that several times, I think. Yeah. And he would even, come on, he would have sex with his mother. He did all kinds of weird stuff. He was really screwed up just about as bad as Aleister Crowley. Okay. No wonder he was a disciple. Let's see what it says. The woman died of pulmonary embolism. The inscription was ordered by her husband. He went trouble past claimed that. Yeah. That's some part of it. Yeah, I heard about that before. Yeah. It is a fascinating thing. But I think it is still like an ongoing mystery and understand why he had that put on there. Yeah, Jack Parsons actually supposedly blew itself up. Jack Parsons supposedly died trying to open a portal into another world electronically.
Oh.
So ritualistically, he was doing it electronically. That's what supposedly got him unalived. I don't know if that's really true or not. You know, I don't know, but it could be. It would not surprise me. Knowing Jack Parsons would surprise me a bit, knowing how he was. But I think it's very interesting that Jack Parsons has they have a Jack Parsons Day at NASA every year on Halloween. Okay, uh, how appropriate. Okay.
Yeah.
The people had their loved ones buried in their coffee table. Oh yeah, you can actually order certain coffee tables and have somebody buried in them and put them in your living room. Yeah, they actually encase them in what some kind of plastic, like you know stuff. Anton LaVey was the founder of the Church of Satan. Actually, he knew about Aleister Crowley, but they never got together on anything. He didn't live. I think Aleister Crowley died before Anton LaVey came along. But let me say something about Anton LaVey, who has a daughter who looks remarkably like um, Taylor Swift. Um, Anton LaVey was more of a showman than he was really a satanic person. He was more into the notoriety of it than anything else. He made a big star of himself that way, you know, doing that kind of stuff and rubbing elbows with famous movie stars and all that stuff. He was all about. He was an attention whore. Okay, that's what he was. That's all he was all about. And he is the founder of that church. He's very much like the founder of the Jehovah's Witnesses. I won't get in that. I get a lot of people mad at me, but anyway. Um, He was a con artist. Okay, that's basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Made a lot of money off of it. Did you ever meet Alan LaFay? No, no. I know a lot about him though. I studied him, and he was actually began as a magician, by the way. I mean, a stage magician and not a sorcerer magician. Did he cast death spell on Jane Mansfield? Supposedly he did, but I don't know about that. I mean, I don't think Anton LaVey knew what.
How would you
You
prove
gotta
it?
do that way. I mean, maybe he did. Maybe he did. I could be selling the guy short, but I think that was just coincidence. But a lot of rumors got started about Jane Mansfield's death because it was so gruesome. She got her head cut off, and all that. She's a beautiful woman, but she was a disciple of Anton LaFay, and she was big in. But I think that was a lot of to get notoriety too. You know, you got to think about a lot of this is public publicity stuff. Okay, to stay in the limelight and get attention. That's all it is. Remember Paris Hilton? I won't go there, but she was all
Right.
about. A lot of people one day wants to. What does Paris Hilton do? She can't act. She can't sing. Why is she famous? Because she was all about attention. Okay.
She was a Hilton. That's
Mhm.
why.
I seen her one time. They were photographing her, and she was just eating it up. She was in the limelight. And then she had to flash her breasts for the photographers. Just the more and more she could do, the more attention she got, the more she loved. You get hung up on stuff like that. You can become addicted to attention, just like anything else. And I think that's what a lot of these people are doing. And they don't care how they get it done. Look at all the rock bands, Cheryl. Remember them? How they all kind of had to have a satanic connection and all that because it was cool, the cool and groovy and in thing to do. It sold more records. They were doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sovereign's asking what I'm drinking tonight. It's not barbecue sauce. It's raspberry tea from Pure Leaf.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
I do like a good barbecue sauce, but that's not what I'm drinking.
Well, be kind of a little rough. Drinking that barbecue sauce. Yeah. It might go down easy, but not stay there. That's the problem. But anyway, that's our little trip down Strange graves territory there, folks. That's there. There's some strange ones out there. We could go on. I had a picture of one. It wouldn't upload. Do you remember that one you sent me? You're all kind of the body busting out of the tomb.
Yeah, actually, I have that picture on my computer here. I
that wouldn't go down for some reason, but anyway,
I got several of them.
Sculpture. It depicts the day of resurrection. You know.
Yeah, it is. It's somebody leaving this world and finally free, or it's a zombie busting out of the grave. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I have that picture if you want me to show it. I have some other interesting ones if you want me to show that. It's up to you.
Yeah, a lot of people consider, that to be sort of a zombie apocalypse kind of a thing, the resurrection. But I don't think it will be. I think it'd be more of a spiritual thing than a body kind of a thing. But a lot of people consider it that,
Well, it says the dead will walk.
Yeah, the dead will rise.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not the way they think it will. That's a different story. It ain't gonna be Hollywood style. That's the thing about Hollywood. And we keep running in that journal time after time after time. Hollywood has you get a lot of good stuff out of Hollywood sometimes. I think we're having a lot of secrets being told, definitely being revealed to us. Some disclosure, I call it soft disclosures, going on. I think our Creator is giving us that for a reason, but Hollywood has kind of screwed up the way we think about things. We're looking through a filter of Hollywood, and we don't need to we need to stop that, because Hollywood is all about make believe, folks. It ain't real, okay? It's 99.9% of it ain't real. It looks like it, but it ain't. And that's their job, is to make you believe something is real. It's not. That's the way it's been on the stage for hundreds of years. Even in Shakespeare's time, they had little special effects that they could do and all that. They would take. Remember the water bottle they could put in front of a light and make it look like you were by the ocean or something.
Oh, right.
Body of water. They had all kind of tricks for that. You know what I'm saying? That's Hollywood. It ain't real. I've had little kids tell me they think they could jump up 10 feet in the air and kick somebody. Okay.
Nah.
I said, look, don't try it, because it ain't going to happen. You can't do that. That's Hollywood. That ain't real. They're on wires. Okay. They're not jumping up like that. But it's hard for them to grasp it because it looks so real. I can understand why people get in the frame of mind, because it is sort of a mind seduction. They're seducing your mind into believing something that's not necessarily true. It's all about imagery. It's all about imagery when it comes down to that. But we do have zombies walking around out there. They're people on drugs, unfortunately. They look like zombies. They act like zombies. In retrospect, they probably are zombies because drugs made them out. And the original zombies were drug people. Okay, they weren't dead people. They were drug people. Now, there are some legends that say that the witch doctors could bring dead people back to life. But what they would supposedly do is putting an evil spirit in those bodies and bringing them back. Remember the vampires I talked about earlier? That's what these guys are doing. These witch doctors are necromancers. They're raising the dead, but they're not really raising dead people. They're using dead people's bodies as hosts for demon or demonic spirits. That's the way that works. That's the real zombie, okay? And they don't go around eating people, by the way. They have nothing to do with that. That's a completely different thing. Anyway, zombies are mindless servants. If you had a zombie, he'd be like washing your clothes right now or something, okay? I mean, you'd put him to use. He's your mindless slave. Yeah. So get you a zombie to wash your dishes,
That's right.
There you go. But that's what they're for. Actually, the real zombies were people raised up, supposedly from the dead, but they used chemicals on them, used certain formulas. They would bring them back and turn them into slaves and work them in the sugarcane fields. That's what they would do with them. But it was just a way of tricking people into believing that your relative was dead and buried. Meanwhile, miles away, he's working out in the sugarcane field because he's a zombie. He's a mindless slave under your drugs influence. And you know what knocks that drug off? You know what supposedly the antidote for that drug was, Gerald?
No.
Salt, yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Salt.
We've been hearing about weird cases of cannibalism. Someone got hit by a train last summer, and a homeless guy ran off eating something. Some of these drugs will turn you into that. And by the way, like I said, zombies don't eat people. Ghouls eat people. Ghouls are reanimated dead bodies that eat the flesh of dead people. That's what ghouls do. They are demons. Demonic entities that engage in what? Cannibalism.
Remember the case in Florida where the guy was on bath salts and he was sitting there under a overpass eating the face off of that homeless guy when they caught him?
Mm-hmm. Well, these drugs will do you that way. You know, some of these drugs screw your mind up so bad you would.
Yeah.
Hey, I know of a case right here in my town where this lady was on drugs so bad, some meth, that she actually tore out her own eyes.
Oh, wow.
She now has no eyes. She's completely blind. Her eyeballs are gone. She pulled them out of her head.
Oh, my.
I was in law enforcement when that happened. I didn't see it, but I actually taught the guys this. So yeah, she had her eyes in her hands when we got there. That's what drugs will do to you, folks.
There was
that's real horror story there. That's not Hollywood. You know what I'm saying?
There was a case of a girl that was having trouble. I don't know if she had autism or some kind of disability like that, but she was struggling. She was deemed not normal at that time. And they put her on drugs and she started seeing things like almost like the Dicyanin glasses where she'd see demons and stuff come down, attacking and being around. She literally did the same thing. She scratched her own eyes out so she wouldn't have to see these things.
I'm going to tell you something, okay? We're living in a society now, I mentioned that on Jessica's show today, we're living in an atmosphere of fear and hatred and just all kinds of bad stuff going on here, okay? But mainly fear. Fear is the main thing that controls people. That's what the dark side wants. He wants to control us. But here's another thing we got to understand, okay? And I say this over and over again. Garbage in, garbage out. The more garbage we put in ourselves, and I'm not talking about not just the food that we eat, I'm talking about the drugs that we take, the things that we look at and watch, the music that we listen to, the movies we watch. All this stuff is garbage, okay? It's spiritual garbage. And it's going in, and that's what's coming out. Listen to the way people talk nowadays, Gerald. It's the F word constantly the F word I hear. It's now part of the vocabulary. Things that you wouldn't have said years ago now are okay to say. Our language is telling on us of what our true spiritual nature is on the inside is what comes on the outside eventually. It's going to show up. No matter what we take in, garbage out. We become garbage. Don't you understand? Yep. We will become garbage. That's what we're becoming. No wonder Joe Biden called us garbage, okay? We are garbage. We're taking in garbage and we're putting out garbage. We got to stop that. That spiritual garbage needs to stop. You know, I say to some people, I don't mean to come down on people, okay? But the language they use, Gerald, I have to stop and say, what, you kiss your mama with that mouth? You know? Come on. where's this coming from? It's showing what you are on. I had an old teacher years ago. She said, if you speak like a gentleman, then you will be taken to be a gentleman. Okay. But if you use the language of the gutter, then you'll be the gutter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my dad used to.
And guess
my
who?
dad used to say that
the biggest fault of doing that, Gerald, is showing it constantly. Hollywood, every Hollywood movie you watch now, if you bleep the F word out, you wouldn't know what they were saying. You really wouldn't. Come on, people, you can do better than this. Profanity shows that you have a very small intellect, folks. I hate to tell you that, but that's true. If you can't use any more words than that, FFF all the time, you don't even know how to speak. Okay? Get away from me, you imbecile. That's what you are. Come on. You can do better than that. I don't know. Source cocaine and hookers on that down. Okay, let's see. I'm reading what some people are saying here. But anyway, look, man, I'm sorry. That's my rant for today. Anyway. Gerald, what did your dad used to say? Chicky Blue wants to know.
He just said the same thing that you did. My dad used to tell me as a kid that if you're going to cuss, that just shows your intellect, that you are not smart enough to know of the English vocabulary to say how you express yourself. So you use words that are from a lower standard.
That's true. Very true. You know what? Who was it? Oh, God, I can't think of his name. Will Rogers said to live your life so that you wouldn't be afraid to sell the family parrot to your preacher.
Right.
There you go. That makes a lot of sense. I worked for mental health in the prison system in the state of the MOs all my life, and that word I always heard. Yeah. It's low life people using that. I mean, just like Gerald said, it's very true. You limited vocabulary, limited mind. Okay, I'm sorry to say it, but you are. You're very limited. There's a ton of cussing in the military too. Well, that doesn't make you. Just because you can cuss does not make you a man or a woman, as the case may be. It doesn't make you. It just makes you look like an imbecile. Okay. I was saying about the parrot, yeah. Yeah, you got it in the fortune cookie and took it to the heart. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I need to get some fortune cookies. I haven't had any in a long time. What was a movie one time about a guy got something in a fortune cookie, and that's what made his life, the rest of his life. He went by the fortune cookie. He was waiting for direction, wasn't he?
Yep.
Wizard Moon says, I agree. There's lots of cussing in the kitchens I worked in, the Spanish too. I know I don't know. It is an epidemic. It is a destruction of our language. And let me tell you this, when language starts going down the tubes, that's where civilization is going, okay? Because that's what makes us civilized people, language, okay? That's how we communicate. Very important. And we need to communicate, instead of cuss words, we need to communicate more intellectually. Where's the most haunted place in the United States, Joshua wants to know? I don't know. The most haunted place. Some of the most haunted cities in the world would be New Orleans, and Chicago is haunted.
Oh, yeah.
LA is haunted. The big cities are haunted, the high heavens. Charleston, South Carolina is one of the most haunted cities I've ever been in. Savannah, Georgia is another one. What do you think, Gerald?
Well, I think that's everybody's opinion. Everybody has a favorite city or ghost story, or, I mean, it's up in the air. I mean, you could have and study encounters in, like you said, Chicago, Illinois, like where the state I'm from. And I could say, this is the most haunted state or city in the US, but then somebody else from another part of the regions been studying or experiencing stuff in their part of the U.S. So I mean, it just depends.
Chicky Blue says vampires like New Orleans. Yeah, it is definitely Vampire City.
I will say there is
Some
a
of the most
lot of
haunted cities
haunted
in the world
places
can be
in
your
Illinois,
city.
though.
You just need to look into the history of it, you know. Absolutely. Well, this has been an interesting show, Daryl. I think we covered those graves. No pun intended. I think we covered those graves pretty good. What do you think? You got any final thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a cemetery in your town, and some, most cemeteries or most small towns even have cemeteries, go out there and walk and read some gravestones and see with interesting stuff. They got great design, great art on them, great sayings. See what the dates are. See what the earliest ones that you have in your area.
Joshua wants to know what's your most terrifying experience you ever had, Daryl.
Most terrifying.
Good one. What's the scariest thing ever happened to you?
Well, and I've told this story before, as when I was in high school and me and my girlfriend were going to go out and go to the movies. And I'm driving and she's in the passenger seat. And we're just having a normal conversation, talking with one another. And I look over and it is not her sitting in that seat next to me. It was in my vision, or what I was seeing was a witch. And it was like the black dress, the black pointy hat. Her face had changed, and I just freaked out and looked straight ahead. Mm-hmm. And then she obviously knew something was wrong, and she kept going, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" And trying to get my attention. I was afraid to look back over. And I finally looked back over, and it was her again. She was normal. And it's just like, oh, I don't know. I saw something in the road. That's what I told her. Nothing. No. Never did tell her. I never told her that story.
That kind of freaked you out good, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I tell you, one of the most interesting experiences I ever had, it wasn't that scary at the time, but thinking about it later, But was that night I spent in the basement of the 16th century pub, and I felt something come up to me. I couldn't register it on my instruments I had with me, couldn't get it with my camera. I had an infrared camera, couldn't see it at all. Something came up to me and softly put like a hand on my cheek. And there was a rustle, like I could hear a rustle. And later on, I kind of figured out what that was. That was like the sound of petticoats, or a dress.
Oh, wow. Right.
And I found out later that during the late 18th century, there was sort of a Jack the Ripper-like guy in Charleston, South Carolina, that killed a good many prostitutes. And it was a very cold year. They couldn't dig the graves because the ground was froze. So they kept their bodies in that basement that I was sitting in. And it was almost as if I could sense a female presence brush my cheek with her hand. It was a very interesting experience.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That pub, by the way, was 16th century hangout for Blackbeard the pirate.
Oh, my.
And it had a trap door in that basement, which is where I was at, like something out of a horror movie. Trap door in the floor, you go down in the basement. That was wild. And I was sitting on the 16th century seawall of Charleston, South Carolina. It was a part of that wall went up under this pub. And that's what I was sitting on all night. So I love places with a lot of history like that, because sometimes, my friends, history is alive in a very ghostly way.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see what she says here. Headship says, I bought a house with, I lost it here. Hold on a minute. Head Trip says, I bought a house that came with a free demon that wasn't fun. It got attached to my daughter. Took a shaman and 6 of his medicine people to get it out.
Wow.
Well, sometimes you pay more than you pay for in the wrong way, too, unfortunately. I've had a lot of cases with people who have had attachments. You're just in the wrong place at the wrong sometimes in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Food, ancient Greek studies. Food is not medicine. Yeah, that is true. Food, garbage, food going in you, you're going to be garbage too. That's the way that goes. Yep. Absolutely. Well, my take on the graves is this, long after you're gone, your tombstone will go on. Okay. So that's kind of important to note that that's sort of the last remnant of you is your grave, and that's the very important thing about that. And unless you are like cremated, then you don't have a grave. We were talking about Bram Stoker being, cremated, and his ashes in the urine with his son's.
Right.
They actually put his son's ashes in later after, his ashes were put in that urine, but it's supposed to be in safe. And his wife's ashes, by the way, were sprinkled in her garden. So that's why they're not around anymore. But there are in some, and I find this interesting to note, some cemeteries have a place for cremation ashes.
Right.
It's like a little shelf that they put you on. Yeah, that's neat in that way. So, it's very important what you leave behind. Sort of speaks of what you wear in a way. That's the only part of immortality you have left on this planet. In that respect, is your grave.
Yep.
Yeah. And one more thing I might want to mention: you fight grass all your life. You cut it, you trim it, you seed it, you sow it, you do all these things to it, and eventually it wins in the end. It grows on your grave.
Oh my.
So even the grass wins, folks. Okay. That's the philosophical end for all this. Okay. But anyway, we appreciate you all being here tonight. It's been a very interesting. You got any more questions? Throw them out here right quick. Let's see. Does the witch cave at Old Stone Church Company have any strange marking on it or anything? It's got a lot. Check it out. I've been there. It has a lot of stuff on it. They certain covens of witches venerate certain witches' graves a lot, just like they do Marie Laveau in New Orleans. New Orleans, I might put it that way. I better say it. New Orleans. That's the southern way pronunciation. Anyway, they venerate her. You go down there and mark an X on her grave. You're supposed to be good luck. Crystal says it's been wonderful. Well, thank you, dear. Thank you. And great show, Girl on the Ground said, oh, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
We enjoyed it. It was good. And we appreciate you being here tonight and hanging in there with us for these interesting walk to the cemetery here tonight. And we got a little gruesome, but that's the way it goes with graves. Do witches come in any race or original witches a certain ethnicity? No. Witches are found all over the world in every culture. No matter where you go, you got witches, okay? That's the way that goes. The witches are everywhere. Witches get mad at me sometimes, okay? Because I say some things about them. I'm mainly, most witches will tell you that, they're good and they're a white witch, and that's okay. If that's the way they want to go, okay, I go along with that. But there are dark witches, but sometimes they argue, oh, there's no dark witches. Oh, yes, there are. Witches are people. You got good and you got bad people. That's the way it goes with witches. Okay, you got your pick on it. And some things though are bad all the time. It's like the Wicked Witch, in the Wizard of Oz. She said, "I'm bad. I'm evil. I'm wicked all the time." She never has a good time. Okay, so that's the way it goes with some of them. All right, but I get them. I have actually been. I was good friends with a witch one time, and that's the way they want to believe. I don't agree with it, but I'm not the judge. It's not my job. So if you're going that way, that's the way you're going. So there you go. It's all good until somebody gets greedy. Yeah, that's the way it is. But anyway, we appreciate you all being here tonight. It's been a fantastic show. And if you're coming in late, you might want to go back and watch it from the start again. And what you got to say to everybody tonight, Gerald, on the way out?
Keep looking up.
What you got coming up on your shows? Got any interesting shows?
Yes, actually, I believe our next guest will be this coming Sunday at 6 p.m. Central. It's going to be Nathaniel Gillis.
Okay.
And we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about some paranormal and supernatural stuff.
Let me see what Mr. Woo Rider's got here. A few weeks later, he got a exorcism performed on him. Took 4 grown men to hold him down after he became a devout follower and just Christian said that Jesus. Okay, he's telling a story here about the somebody that had a problem. Yeah, I've seen a lot of exorcisms in my time, and you have to be very careful while you're there. You better have the faith to do what needs to be done and do it correctly and be ready. Be very steadfast in your faith. It's not even a good idea to watch that stuff. If you've got a problem or something, it can jump on you real quick.
Right.
You don't want to put yourself in a position that you will compromise yourself. Join Hunting the Shadows Patreon. Yes, you can do that there. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, I have a Patreon. Membership is open. You can become an official shadow hunter. Okay. And we're going to be getting a lot of good and interesting stuff going on there. I'm going to be getting all of you a little swag thing going up. Coming soon on that. So join in on the Patreon. There it is. Check it out if you get a chance and then support that. And don't forget Mr. Gerald Fountain's store. Okay. He has a store and you need to check that out. And check out Jessica's store. Jessica, the Cryptid Huntress. Yes, she has a store called War Woman Goods. Check it out. So check all these stores out and start shopping for my Christmas present. Now is the time, okay? And get out there and get it done, okay? But anyway, seriously, check these people out and do it, and think about your Christmas shopping on there, okay? Yeah, you might pick up some good items for that. Absolutely. And Head Trip says, walking with the faith of the angels has protected him, working and all that. Well, yes, that's true. Be on the side of the angels, okay? That's the important side, okay? That's where it's going down. There's your merchandise for the shop there. Okay, and here's Jessica's shop. And some War Woman Goods. I gotta have a shop soon. I'm gonna have to put me together.
Yeah, you better get a shop going.
I gotta get to
sell vampire kits or something off of it.
Oh yeah, might have to start selling vampire kits. Okay, yeah, there you go. And Shiro's. Let's put Shiro up there. That's her sound there on the Midwest merchandise. Okay.
Yeah, you can get the Night Watchers logo on shirts or Chiro Sounds, that logo there on Jane's. You can get those on shirts, and you can get the Night Owl Lounge logo if you like it on all of our merchandise.
Oh yeah, I like the Night Owl Lounge. I like to hang out at the Night Owl Lounge. That sounds like it. You remember the Kit Kat Club, don't you, there, Daryl?
Yep.
Oh yeah. You would love Hunting the Shadows merchandise. Okay, well, we'll definitely start working on that. Getting a logo on some t-shirts and some cups or something for you. Absolutely. All right, well, appreciate you all being here tonight, and it has been fun, fantastic, and absolutely fabulous. Okay.
That's
And
right.
once you come back and see us again, I will have a show Wednesday night called Hunting the Shadows at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and another show Friday night called Paranormal Point of View, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. So make sure you check those out. And who knows, I may throw some extra stuff in there
Oh,
in the middle for you. Who
there
knows
you
what's
go.
going on? I got some ideas coming up on that, definitely. So be watching. Be aware. Okay. Remember, a woke wolf is a what? And a werewolf. Okay. It's a werewolf. Okay. Anyway,
Oh,
hang in there, folks. And it's been great evening show. And we thank you all for being here. And until we get together again, remember, no darkness is greater than the light.
that's
Good
right.
evening and have a good night. Great week ahead. See you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.